Vue goes through a process called the lifecycle. The lifecycle enables us to run code when a new instance is created. We're not limited to creating the data inside our instance. We can run code during the creation process and even after the instance is destroyed. Allow me to elaborate further. Before the Vue lifecycle may begin, the instance has to be created. That's done using the vue.createApp function. This function is where you pass in your settings and data for Vue to work with. During this process, Vue will begin the lifecycle. Vue will create areas within itself where we can inject code and do whatever we want. The very first thing Vue does is add reactivity to your data. This process is where it begins to watch your data for any changes. Before that happens, you have the opportunity to run some code. The first lifecycle hook that occurs is the beforeCreate hook. At this point, the Vue instance hasn't been fully created. This means you won't have access to your data or any of its methods. Once everything has been initialized, the Vue instance is ready. We are provided another lifecycle hook, which is the created hook. Unlike before, we can access the data and methods inside the Vue instance. However, Vue is not mounted to any template, nor will anything be rendered onto the page. After the Vue instance is created, it'll start looking for a template. This part of the lifecycle starts the moment we call the mount method on the application. Vue will scan the template code and begin processing it. This process is what's called compiling. We haven't talked about compiling in depth in this course, but I promise we will soon. All you have to know is that this is where Vue will scan for directives, expressions, events, and bindings inside the template. Once the template is compiled, Vue will replace the content inside the element we selected with the mount method with the compiled template. Before that happens, you have the opportunity to hook into the beforeMount lifecycle hook. Once mounting is completed, you can hook into the mounted lifecycle hook. At this point, Vue has inserted itself into the document. We'll be able to see the rendered template on the document. All expressions, directives, and bindings have been processed. After the mounting phase is completed, your application will watch the data for any changes. This usually happens during events such as mouse clicks or inputs. Anytime the data has been updated, Vue will then update the template, and the cycle just repeats. We are provided two hooks during this process. The first hook is the beforeUpdate hook. This gets triggered after the data has been updated, but has not been applied to the template. The next hook is the updated hook. This hook runs once the template is patched with the updated data. These two hooks I'm introducing are mainly used for debugging. I wouldn't recommend you use them for applying changes to the data. Computed properties and watchers will cover 99% of the scenarios you come across. This is the lifecycle we've been dealing with throughout this course. Soon enough, you will become familiar with the lifecycle process. We're going to dive into the code in a moment, but there is another part of the lifecycle process we haven't been able to experience yet. We have the ability to destroy the Vue instance. This means that any reactivity, events, directives, or bindings will be disabled and gone. You may want to do this in case you want the user to no longer interact with the application. The way you destroy the instance is by calling the unmount method. Once the method has been invoked, Vue will take care of the rest and finally destroy the instance. If you call the method, there's no turning back. During this process, there are two hooks we can use. The first hook is the beforeUnmount hook. This hook is called before the instance is destroyed. Your application is still fully functional and present on the page. You're free to access any of the data and methods in your Vue app. The last hook is the unmounted hook, which is triggered once the Vue instance is destroyed. You won't be able to access the instance anymore. Any data or methods will be gone and inaccessible. That's it. That's the Vue lifecycle. Now that we have an overview of things, let's learn how to use the lifecycle hooks in the next lecture.